Smith, along with Ramey Steins and Mark Schnurr on the whistle. Brian Dorsey, the alternate. Great to have you with us exclusively on ACC Network as we go from the Coliseum in Greensboro. Anthony, a quick throw to the rim. Beyond the reach of Baycott as you get a look at our Discount Tires starting lineups. Hokies with the ball. And P.J. Horn, who figures to be a big piece tonight of what he can get done against the bigs inside in Brooks and Baycott. Here's Naheem Aline with 10 to shoot.
P.J. Horn's biggest impact is the ability to shoot the three and bring the bigs out of the paint. Part of the reason why Radford is able to get to the rim, he can beat Garrison Brooks off the dribble, but Baycott is on the exterior because he has to guard P.J. Horn, and that's one of the ways that Virginia Tech was able to expose North Carolina defensively in their first meeting.
The redshirt freshman on the board, 2-0 in favor of Virginia Tech. Here's Black now for Brooks, and that's Nolly defending. Turns into a double team, feeds Baycott. Fouled from behind by Wabisabiti. No, knocked out of bounds. It'll stay with Carolina, 7 to shoot.
And you get an opportunity to see Tyrese Radford. Katie talked about only 2 points in that first game, which happened to be a game winner. But yet, the first 2 points for Virginia Tech here, and he is so much more aggressive now than he was back in that meeting.
Scramble for the loose ball on the inbounds, and a held ball is called, and that will send it to Virginia Tech. So the Hokies turn away Carolina on their first 2 offensive possessions, and there is Lafayette, Alabama junior Garrison Brooks.
And Garrison Brooks, the ACC's most improved player, as well as second-team All-ACC, and led the league in scoring during ACC play, and has had a spectacular season, going from what was a role player to a star in Chapel Hill.
On the drive, Aline draws the foul of Brandon Robinson. And that'll send Virginia Tech to the line, where the Hokies on the year shoot 70.5%, which is 11th in the ACC. In conference play, almost 72%. And the left-handed Aline knocks down his first point.
WD, you can see the emphasis from Mike Young right now. And, of course, three-point shooting is always going to be important for Mike Young coach team. But you can see right now they want to get Garrison Brooks in situations where he has to guard on the perimeter, put him in drive, and keep Baycott out of the paint, having to respect P.J. Horn's shooting. P.J. Horn has led the Hokies in scoring their last 2 games.
Black back rim miss on the 3. Nolly the rebound at the foul line.
And if you follow ACC basketball, college basketball in general, one thing you know about North Carolina, always a great rebounding team.
Yeah.
Virginia Tech held them to only 2 second-chance points on 6 offensive rebounds in their first meeting. No one does that to Carolina, especially when you consider the fact that it's a much smaller lineup that they're playing against.
Anthony flips it cross court out of a double team for Robinson's first shot of the tournament. 55th 3 of the year for Brandon Robinson. Tar Heels to within a point.
And if you can imagine anyone here who wants to have a great showing, it would be Brandon Robinson. He's had a turbulent year, had a car accident, of course, the injuries to his ankle causing him to miss multiple games. And he wants to have a showing here and keep this season going since he's a senior, and this could be it for Brandon Robinson.
Anthony uses the Baycott screen. Here's Black. Here's Brooks, his first turn with the right hand, missed everything against Nolly. Radford. .240 gone here in the first half. Radford again on the drive. Bothered that time by Black and Baycott, but recovered Horn. And they scrambled inside. Horn had it, fell to the floor. And a foul is going to be called, I believe, on Cole Anthony for the reach.
And one of the things forgotten about with Cole Anthony is not just his scoring ability, but his ability to find his teammates. The cross-court pass, that's a very difficult pass out of a trap to find Brandon Robinson right in his shooting pocket, who knocks down the 3 for Carolina. And this North Carolina team, Wes, they're shooting the basketball better. There's a struggle for them all year. The lowest three-point field goal percentage ever for a North Carolina team. But over the last 5 games, they found their shooting tough.
Off the long inbounds pass in the backcourt, here's Beatty with 12 to shoot. Taking Anthony to the right. Skips it. Radford out front. Horn a triple. And Black the rebound for the Tar Heels. Beatty right to Robinson. Anthony tries to take a lean on the drive. Tap follow good. Armando Bacot.
And just like that, North Carolina has the same amount of second chance points in the first 4 minutes of this game that they had in 50 minutes in Blacksburg earlier this season. And you see that's one of the emphasis for North Carolina. They're going to attack that offensive glass.
Almost 4 minutes gone. Nolly, who really struggled at the end of the regular season, and Beatty misses the three from out front. He's only hit 14 of them during the course of the regular schedule. Brooks turns with the right hand, will draw the foul. And the foul will be on Horn. We get our first break in the action. ACC Network Basketball. ACC Network Basketball is brought to you by New York Life, helping people act on their love for 175 years. And Discount Tire. Let's get you taken care of. Chance at the end of regulation to win it. After Leaky Black misfired at the end of the first overtime, Tyrese Radford converted his first field goal of the game to give the Hokies the win with .4 remaining. Carolina led by as many as 12 in the second half, but Cole Anthony and Brandon Robinson, who did not play, saw Virginia Tech, I think more importantly than anything else, handle the offensive glass. They had 8 offensive rebounds of their 39 against Carolina. To your point about second chances, Brooks knocks down the free throw, Corey.
And Wes, I was there to call that game, and the one thing that the lasting memory for me was Garrison Brooks, who had 28 points, 13 rebounds in that game, was exasperated afterwards. I mean, just devastated with the fact that they did not win that game after. I won't say it's about him individually, but they put in a lot of work and put themselves in positions to win, and that really started to slide for Carolina, where they lost so many close games and just did not know how to win it at the end.
Hokies have missed their last 6 shots from the floor. Aline can't snap the drought. And inside, Ojiaku, the freshman from Nigeria, grabbed the rebound, but it was tied up, and it'll go to Carolina on the alternating possession with 15:40 to play. And Roy Williams, native of Western North Carolina, looking on with 466 wins. That is alma mater. Beatty against Anthony. Here's Robinson. Leaky Black trying to take Radford baseline. Leaves it for Brooks at the elbow. Catch and shoot. 3-ball away and good for Brandon Robinson. He's got 6 on a couple of triples.
Well, he's made his presence felt early. And we mentioned before, didn't play in the previous game between these two, was actually feeling the effects of a car accident that he had a week prior. And they missed his presence from beyond the three-point arc, as they have multiple times during this season. But Brandon Robinson back to playing good basketball and healthy finally.
Black skips to Robinson. Attacks down the paint, draws the contact. Ojiaku will draw his first foul, and number 2 on the Hokies, Katie.
Yes, it is. And you guys mentioned Brandon Robinson did not travel to Blacksburg on January 22nd, so he watched the game from his house in Chapel Hill. He recalls getting super animated and yelling at the TV in both of those overtimes, so frustrated because he felt like his teammates, particularly Garrison Brooks, did enough to win that game. But he said in tonight's matchup, he wanted his presence to be felt. He's done that so far at the start with 6 points.
And one thing he would have remembered from that game, Katie and I both were there, and we were talking about a lot of what would have been different had Brandon Robinson been on the floor. And this, well, you have to respect his ability to shoot the three-pointer. You talk about averaging 12 points per game, but more importantly, his leadership as a senior on this team and a young man who has been part of so much success over the past 3 seasons for North Carolina. That was missed when he's had to miss games due to injury.
8 for Robinson. Carolina on an 11-1 run. 12-0 after the second free throw. And Virginia Tech's in a little bit of a drought from the floor after they got the first basket of the ball game on the Radford drive. Jalen Hall comes in launching.
And we've talked a lot about the previous game. Well, if you're going to talk about it, you can't mention it without talking Jalen Cone. He had 18 points in that game, made so many big threes, and that was part of when he was a starter for Virginia Tech, and he was really starting to give them a lot of effort coming off the bench now after going through that slip.
Keeling tried to answer, it got deflected. Robinson scooped it up with 10 to shoot, fires it out on the perimeter. Anthony, and his two-pointer rattles in.
And if you're Brandon Robinson, you better be glad Cole Anthony made that shot. He gave up a wide-open layup as Roy Williams was up out of his seat. Robinson, and very seldom will you ever see a shot hit the brim. No one ever caught it. He picked it up, had an easy layup, and kicked it out.
Hunter Couture on the floor as well, wearing 0 for the Hokies. Here's Cone, who played for the former NC State player Kevin Thompson. By the way, over in Forsyth County, so he's near his hometown here in Greensboro. Ojiaku burrowed down, couldn't finish it. Tar Heel lead is 7, and Anthony on the attack. Trying to get all the way to the rack and going to draw the foul, I believe, on Cone.
Well, one of the things about Jalen Cone, he's not going to stand still. He will work to get his shots. And you see running off multiple screens, but more importantly, the footwork to be able to gather, raise up, and shoot over a bigger defender on the turn. That is skill. Jalen Cone playing in his home state in the ACC tournament, and this is something that he's dreamed about for a very long time. And his first shot in his ACC tournament career was pure.
Well, Mike Young's night just got tougher because P.J. Horn just picked up his second with 13-19 to go in this first half. And Corey, he told us specifically yesterday, P.J. Horn, how long could we lean on him in the block defensively against Brooks and Baycott now with 2?
Because Horn opens up all those driving lanes. When you have to respect him as your 5-man and his ability to shoot the 3, it opens up opportunities for teammates getting to the rim and taking that shot blocker out of the way.
Kristen Keeling, the grad transfer from Augusta, Georgia. Baycott wheels in the lane and scores with the right hand. Largest lead for the Tar Heels now at 9.
And can't forget Armando Baycott in that previous meeting had a double-double. He had a big game for him. So when you think about what these teams were able to do, but Baycott fouled out of that game, and that was a difference maker for North Carolina when he went to the bench in that first overtime.
Horn a 3, Keeling the rebound. High dribble by Anthony. Mike Young going to wait on this media timeout, isn't he, Corey?
Well, you know what? P.J. Horn is a senior, and so he's been through battles, and he recognizes that he's a guy that you may have to trust to play with those 2 fouls. He's so important to take off, but bad pass right there by Horn instead of taking it to the rim for the layup.
Keeling tried to dump it to Brooks. There'll be a whistle and a foul. And it is on the freshman Jalen Cone, who's from Walkertown, North Carolina. 5 on the Hokies. And that'll send Garrison Brooks to the free throw line, where he's 2 of 2 already tonight. Carolina 4 for 4 as a team.
But this is where Garrison Brooks has been a force all year for North Carolina, getting to that free throw line and putting pressure on the opponent's defense.
We'll be here all day and night at the New York Life ACC tournament. The Nothing But Net crew is going to be here all day and night. They'll be back with the hardwood highlights, analysis, and post-game interviews. And I got to tell you, Hancock, Riggs, Cuff, and Boozer look very comfortable, by the way, down in the south end zone at the Coliseum.
Well, you got to think about the perch they sit in, though. I
Pretty
mean,
solid.
Again, ACC Network came in and went first class in their booth up here. That's a good crew right there, though.
Although I had to get Boozer, I had to corral Boozer during game 1. He was trying to get off the tunnel and get on the floor.
But as I look at the crew, and we can talk to them from right here, it's only 4 of them, which means they need a player. That's me, not you, Wes.
Oh, geez.
And again, me and Booze might be fighting over shots. Hancock is from Virginia. 2 up, 2 down. That's my guy.
Totally,
so I'll make sure that he gets his touch.
Shoot is Hancock, by the way.
Kels, of course, she's got to run the show, which means that Dallin Cuff's got to guard the other guy, because I'm not doing it.
Horn, meanwhile, bangs the 3, while Corey sets the Nothing But Net All-Star team.
Oh, yeah.
And Virginia Tech stops the drought, trails 7, and Brooks catches and scores softly.
And
First field goal.
Continues to be dominant on the post. And I love what he's doing, because with North Carolina, one thing for certain, Roy Williams wants to have 2 post players on the floor. But when they go with 4 perimeter players around Brooks, he takes advantage of his opportunities. Speaking of taking advantage of opportunities, my man Jalen Cone has gotten it started here in the home state.
Trailing 6 on Cone's second 3. Brooks turned into that double again, had to pick up quickly on the dribble. Almost 9 minutes gone now. Robinson, nice pass to Brooks on the bounce. 10 to shoot. Tried to dump it to Pierce, who's coming to the ball game, and turned it over. Here's Cone all the way to the basket, blocked by Robinson on the backside.
I like the attack by Jalen Cone. Regardless of it getting blocked, they're going to crowd him on the three-point line. He has to be that threat to take it to the rim.
Keeling wheeling at the foul line. Too strong on the jumper. Robinson kept it alive. Fresh 20, but Keeling will go right back to the basket. Got knocked down by Couture. Tar Heel fans in the Coliseum wanted a foul, didn't get it from Mark Schnurr on the baseline.
I almost wanted Christian Keeling to make that shot because after you said wheeling, I thought you were going to say Keeling wheeling. I just knew it was coming. Did you have it lined up?
Not yet.
Okay.
But thanks for playing. Thanks for playing my card for me.
No problem. That's what I do. If you don't use it, I will.
Couture to Isaiah Wilkins, and now Cone another one. Brooks the rebound. Halfway through the first frame, North Carolina by 6.
You know, West, Virginia Tech has only won 3 of their last 14 games. But in each one of those games that they've won, they've made 12 or more three-pointers. And they made 14 against North Carolina that win. It is so important that they're able to stretch that defense out. They've got a number of guys that can shoot it. And they're not going to win the game from the points in the paint standpoint that often.
Robinson has 8 already. 2 to shoot. He'll unload and missed everything, air ball. And that will get us.
Recognizing P.J. Horn playing with 2 fouls, can't afford to foul him. Brooks taking it right to the rim. And North Carolina is doing a great job getting to the glass, but also establishing themselves on the interior early in this game.
Petey, Couture, Isaiah Wilkins, Ogiaco, and the 3 ball there. That's Naheem Aline the miss, and Pierce scoops it up for Carolina with Anthony, Keeling, Baycott, and Leaky Black.
A 14, we're now 15-6 advantage already for North Carolina on the boards in this game. But one of the things that we've seen also, Wes, from North Carolina, you know, over this final stretch of the ACC season, they have been a much more patient offensive team. Cole Anthony, who early in the year was looking for opportunities to try to get to his own shots, has now become a much better facilitator. But when it gets to the end of the shot clock, you can best believe Cole Anthony is going to find a way to get a shot up.
Does he work himself into a spot, though, where he gets caught and then has to dribble his way to the daylight, so to speak, as he draws the foul on Aline there?
I'll say this. He is one of the better ball handlers in the ACC, but more importantly, I don't think what people recognize about Cole, he's bigger than all the ACC point guards outside of Trent Forrest.
Right.
So he's used to being able to play and using his athleticism and his size, because once he gets his shoulders past you, he's going to be able to finish at the rim. The problem there, oftentimes, there may be too many dribbles involved, but when you look at this North Carolina roster, who else is going to handle the basketball? I mean, again, you don't want Christian Keeling trying to make plays for himself. You don't want Brandon Robinson. Those guys are finishers.
Anthony missed both free throws. Still only has the 1 field goal. Lead is 6 for Carolina. Aline. Here's Couture, who's also dangerous from behind the line. Hunter Couture catch and shoot. And the rebound for John Ogiaco. Ogiaco comes in averaging about 2.5 rebounds. Done a good job with Horn on the bench and with 2 personal fouls. Ogiaco. And here's Beatty with 5 to shoot against Baycott. Wabisa hanging 2 is good.
Nice play there by Wabisa Beatty, and more importantly, getting to his spot and raising up, taking the mid-range jump shot, knowing it would be a difficult finish at the rim.
Keeling at the other end couldn't convert, and Black slapped it out for a fresh 20. Baycott misses on the jump hook. Hokies trail 4. Beatty trying to help his team pick up some momentum at the offensive end. Aline hesitates. Can't finish against Pierce. Keeling into traffic, and it blocked away, and a whistle will get the Tar Heels free throws. But Wabisa Beatty, veteran guy from Mike Young, helping out here.
And Beatty, normally the facilitator, this time taking it upon his own shoulders to get his offense going. The mid-range pull-up, no floater. Mike Young is recognizing that from his team. This is a young team. And so when you're a young team, when you play so many freshmen like Virginia Tech, they always know that there's next season. for North Carolina, when you've got guys who have been successful, and, you know, again, for Brandon Robinson, this is his last ACC tournament. This isn't breaking news. For Cole Anthony, this is his last ACC tournament.
Yeah.
I know that many North Carolina fans think he should come back, but honestly, that's not good business sense. So when you look at what's going on with this team right now, North Carolina does have more of a sense of urgency. They recognize that this could be it for Christian Keeling, for Justin Pierce. There are a lot of guys playing with as though there's a lot to lose in this game, and they don't want to be a part of that.
Robinson back on the floor a moment ago. Here's Brooks, a little turnaround. Too strong off Garrison Brooks' right hand.
But look at how every attempt goes up. You see those Carolina blue jerseys and their multiple guys going after that offensive rebound.
Under 7 to play here in the first half. The winner gets Syracuse tomorrow night here in the Greensboro Coliseum. Couture. Foul line area, Radford back for Couture's three. Freshman from Orlando's 48th triple of the year. And Corey, he finished the regular season 6 of 12 from 3.
But Wes, if you're Garrison Brooks, who gets fouled on a run out getting to the rim, but if you're Garrison Brooks guarding Hunter Couture, who shot 50% from beyond the 3-point arc over his last 7 games, you don't help.
Right.
You can't get sucked into the middle on that play and allow Hunter Couture to find a wide open look.
3-point game as Brooks steps to the line, 3 for 4. Make him 4 for 5. Katie?
Well, guys, when Hunter Couture was recruited by Mike Young to Wofford, Young told Couture he believed he could play at any level in the nation beyond mid-majors. The rising senior said he wanted to play for someone who believed in him like that, so he committed. Then Young took the Tech job. It only took 1 day on the job for Young to call Couture and tell him the same thing. I believed in you then, I believe in you now. Come play for me in the ACC. The fact that Mike Young stuck to his word and wasn't just giving him coach speak, Couture says, speaks to his character, and he loves playing for the guy.
Another catch and shoot three. You can say a lot of things about Mike Young, but that's the program he built in Spartanburg at Wofford, Corey, and it's the program he's building in Blacksburg.
Absolutely, and when Katie mentioned the confidence that he has in his players, Cole Anthony knocks down. Robinson does a great job making the extra pass. Cole Anthony knocks it down. We've talked about shooting 55% from 3 over his last 4 games. And starting to play the way that people were expecting for Cole Anthony to play for North Carolina, coming in as the #2 prospect in the country last season.
Nolly tried to fire across for Radford, turned over by the Hokies. Here's Baycott. Freshman from Richmond's got a half dozen in the first half.
And he is better when he is dunking the basketball. Too often, Armando Baycott tries to go finesse and, more importantly, needs to go power. And there was power on that last possession. By the way, great find by Leaky Black. Getting out in transition, North Carolina beating Virginia Tech down the floor.
Nolly trying to get on track. 10-point lead for the Tar Heels. We approach 5 to play in the first half. Cone back on the floor to defend Anthony. Here's Robinson, who hit a couple of threes early to kind of spark what might have been a slow start for Carolina at the offensive end.
He really did. But that's the thing about having seniors who are playing in their last ACC tournament.
Black spots up for 2. And Radford the rebound for Virginia Tech. Here's Cone. And that's in range.
Oh, absolutely. He's got logo range. And it's a small logo on this court still. Yep. He's in it.
Beatty trying to beat Anthony on the bounce. Got it raked out, but 10 to shoot for the Hokies, and here's Cone against Black. Slips it to Nolly, 3 to shoot. Now Cone. He went off before he could release the ball. Shot clock violation is second turnover for Virginia Tech.
Entering for Carolina, number 3, Andrew Blitek.
Mike Young frustrated with the offensive possession by his club.
Well, and Mike Young recognizes that with his team, and we've talked about the youth, and again, at this point, you hear so many people saying, well, no, these aren't freshmen anymore, they're sophomores. Well, it's still the first time they played in the ACC tournament. They played in this environment, and they happen to be taking on, you know, a favorite, a national favorite who people get to come see on Tuesday playing the ACC tournament. And you see a tremendous amount of Carolina blue in the stands to be able to watch this game. So a different environment for Virginia Tech coming into this game. And I believe that, honestly, some of these guys are a little bit shell-shocked early.
10 to shoot for Anthony. High arcing three. And Robinson challenged Cone. And will be ticketed with the foul. That takes us to a break. Here at the Coliseum in Greensboro at the New York Life ACC tournament, Armando Bacot's got 6. CA says he's clean at the rim.
We got a...
Yeah.
Did Kelsey forget me?
Hard to believe.
Is that what just happened, Kelsey? You are now coming off the bench.
Hard to believe.
And I am putting Jordan Cornette in the starting lineup. Down and you go to the point.
Way to coach him, CA. Here's Blake great. Tap follow Brooks. Third try knocked away in the Hokies.
It just goes by so fast, though.
Freshman from Walkertown, North Carolina, who's really been a nice spark for Mike Young.
It really has been. And when you think about this Virginia Tech team, Ovation doesn't have the basketball in his hands as much. You're talking about one of the best point guards. Oh, wait a minute. Stop the press. Leonard Nolly getting involved in the mix. And that's a difference maker for Virginia Tech because he scored 22 against them in the first game. And without his offensive production, the Tar Heels don't have, the Hokies don't have a chance against the Tar Heels.
15 to shoot, 2:45 to go in a 7-point game. Anthony, play 10. And stripped away by Beatty and taken away, but thrown away to Keeling. Here's Brooks on a new shot clock.
And great play by Garrison Brooks, looking at the shot clock, recognizing that they did acknowledge it was possession by Virginia Tech and not forcing up a shot. It's a long time for Virginia Tech to be on defense, regardless as to whether North Carolina comes away with the score or not.
P.J. Horn, by the way, on the floor with the 2 fouls as Playtech leaves one on the front rim. And here's Beatty running through to pick it up as we approach 2 minutes to go. Lob for Horn to catch in traffic. Nolly trying to add to his total. Done. 5 in a row for Landers Nolly.
And I know that's an encouraging sign for Mike Young, seeing Landers Nolly get going. You're talking about an all-ACC rookie team member, average 16 points per game. And again, all he needed was one to see it go down, and now you got some confidence going for Nolly.
Anthony fouled, and it bounced out. 5 in a row for Landers Nolly. Anthony will get a couple of free throws here on the Cone foul.
And Wes, you know very well it only takes a spark to start a fire, and Landers Nolly has a little bit of a spark from the 3, and now the fire is starting, going to the mid-range game once again. The pull-up, not getting too deep into traffic, and just like that, Landers Nolly has a smile on his face. It was a frown for the first 18 minutes. But when you look at the first meeting between these two teams, Landers Nolly didn't shoot it well from the field, 5 for 17, but his 22 points because he did a great job of attacking and getting to that free throw line, helping the Hokies get a win in Blacksburg.
Boy, and they're hoping that he can return to form because the tail end of the regular season has not been pretty at all for the redshirt freshman from Atlanta.
But a lot of that has to do with the fact that he went from an unknown commodity to the top of the scouting report. And when ACC coaches lock in on you defensively, you've got to be super special to be able to beat that. And Landers Nolly didn't really have a tremendous amount of help to help him get over that. He doesn't have, many veterans on this team to help him get through the things that they've gone through in the past. Outside of P.J. Horn and Wabisa Beatty, very few guys have been through the fire for the Hokies.
Carolina by 7, hanging 2 from Keeling. His first field goal of the tournament.
But you speaking of a great tail end of the season, Christian Keeling became a different player at the end of the year for North Carolina. Averaging 11 points per game over his last 5 after only 6 points per game for the previous 25 games of the season.
And that ball got banged away, 10 to shoot as the Hokies keep it. There's Radford on the drive. Ogiaco.
And Keeling is hurt.
Yep.
Now, but this was a rule, point of emphasis this year. You can stop a play when you see an injured player at any time. It doesn't matter if another team has advantage or what. You saw Keeling go down, and the officials actually allowed for that play to go on for a while. Couture had a wide open 3 in the corner, but the whistle was blown. But you see Keeling getting involved, and his foot, you see that left ankle stepped on right there trying to get out. And he's had a number of issues this year with ankles and injuries, and tough for Christian Keeling.
Ojiako caught him with his left foot and kind of crossed to Keeling. And you see Doug Halverson is the North Carolina basketball trainer with the sweater vest on, who's helping Keeling to the bench area.
And if there's one thing that has not been a stranger at all to the Tar Heels this year, it's been injury.
Yeah.
Over 100 games missed due to injury this season, as we look to see if the basketball hit the rim, the shot clock, which it did not, to see if the shot clock should have reset. And right now, 5 seconds remaining on the shot clock. Good to see Keeling walking on his own into the tunnel.
Number 32, Justin Pierce, returns for Carolina.
It started almost as the season began when you see Sterling Manley, who's been gone for the entire year. There's Brandon Huffman, who's also sidelined right now, and Anthony Harris, of course, who was only able to play briefly during the course of the year. And there's a Nolly three. And Landers Nolly all of a sudden has 8 in a hurry.
We talked about that fire getting started with just a small spark, and we've seen it from Landers Nolly, a confident scorer who has found the range here at the Greensboro Coliseum over the last 3 offensive possessions.
7-second differential as we wind down the half. Here's Brooks. Got it out of there. Ojiako. And now Mike Young says hold for one, and here's Wabisabidi. 6-point game, and the Hokies have made a nice run here in the last 2 minutes.
Well, I thought the Hokies were a little shell-shocked early, but once Landers Nolly started knocking down the shots, they found their way back into the mix.
Knocked away, and the half will end. So Carolina's going to take a 6-point lead to the locker room. Interesting. Cole Anthony helped him along the way. He has 7, but Brandon Robinson's 8. By the way, Christian Keeling did not return to the bench, nor did the Carolina basketball trainer Doug Halverson after the halftime.
Virginia Tech ball.
Boy, Virginia Tech only down 6 and shot 29%.
Well, that's only because North Carolina only shot 36, so they weren't much better.
All right. I knew you'd come back with me.
But the one thing, and Roy mentioned it, with Landers Nolly getting going, does that take Garrison Brooks out of his offensive mindset, recognizing that he has to defend better? You know, Garrison Brooks had a game against Georgia Tech where he scored 35 points, and Roy Williams told him after the game, I want to congratulate you, but it was the worst defensive game I've ever seen you play. And from right there, you understand the importance of Brooks as he makes a nice feed to Baycott, cutting down the lane. But Garrison Brooks, we'll have to see if his attention to detail defensively affects his offense.
Well, Garrison Brooks had a half-dozen assists in Blacksburg as well, in addition to his 28 and 13 that night at the Castle, and he's just pushed Carolina to an 8-point advantage as Radford can't finish the layup. Here's Anthony and the Tar Heels. Pull up by Cole. Too strong off the window, and Naheem Aline, the freshman from Buford, Georgia, works it into the front court. Mike Young has sent the suit coat packing here in the second half. He didn't stay in there very long typically, but he lasted the first 20 minutes in his first ACC tournament game as a head coach.
Well, Mike Young thinks the game like a player, and of course you can't play in a sport coat. I need to take mine off right now, Wes.
8-point game. Here's Anthony for Baycott at the top. Armando a long 2.
But he's capable of knocking down that shot. In the first half, he had one. There was no one even in the same area code, and he was so hesitant, wouldn't shoot the basketball. I'm sure that's something that Steve Robinson, Hubert Davis talked to him about at halftime, basically saying they're going to lay off it. You got to take that shot. He's more than capable of making that.
Aline on the drive, strong against Robinson. Anthony and the Tar Heels don't have numbers. Wraps it around for Baycott. Skip for Leaky Black.
And again, that's another shot. Leaky Black has to take that shot. He made three-point field goals versus Virginia Tech in that game previously. He's got to take that shot, because if you don't, they're going to continue with the double team. We saw the double team earlier to start the half off. Garrison Brooks catching it on the block. And Armando Baycott doing a great job cutting and gets the easy layup off of a nice feed from Garrison Brooks. You mentioned the 6 assists in the first meeting between the two, and all of that comes because when you double team Brooks, he's a willing passer.
Brooks back to the line where he's 5 of 6 tonight. And the free throw good. 8 now for the junior. By the way, the foul was on Nolly. That was his first. And you see Hunter Couture check back in the ball game for Virginia Tech, with Wabisabidi, and Jalen Cone also enters for the first time. Couple of free throws for Brooks. He's got 9. Most improved player in the league, Garrison Brooks at 6'9", second team All-ACC pick announced on Monday morning.
But with that substitution, Mike Young just showed you what is important for them right now. It is being able to make threes and shoot threes. When you substitute Couture and Cone in for Bradford and Eileen, you are looking to get the 3-ball up because it's going to be difficult to guard North Carolina in the post.
Robinson a 3. Front rim miss. Petey the rebound. There's Wafisa to the foul line area. And now tries to reset on the dribble drive against Black, and there's a hand check. And the foul on the sophomore Rashawn Leaky Black, his first, and the first on the Tar Heels. Well, the storyline of the regular season is when Carolina builds a double-digit lead, sometimes it does not go well. Nobody knows that more than their head coach and the guys wearing the light blue on the floor tonight, Corey.
And it's the opposite for Virginia Tech. They have 3 wins where they've trailed by 10 or more. So this is a team, when the Hokies, they never feel like they're out of the game. And a part of that is because of how well they shoot the 3. Regardless as to whether it's going well for them early in the game or not, they're going to continue to fire from beyond the arc.
Brooks backing down on Hall with the right hand. Bounced out to beat it.
Garrison Brooks has not had a great day from the field thus far. 1 for 6 from the field, getting to the free throw line and scoring his points there.
3-ball is off, a whistle, and I think the ball went over the top of the glass. Randy Steins with the whistle, so it'll be a fresh start for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, Garrison Brooks, who started the game with his goggles on. We've seen this multiple times.
Went the route of Mike Young's suit coat.
They may be in the same spot.
Here's Anthony, baseline and 1. A little bit of a whirl on the right baseline for Cole Anthony's 3rd field goal of the ball game.
But you see Cole Anthony just taking advantage of his size over Jalen Cone, and he's bigger. We talked about them, most guards in the ACC, and has the advantage over Cone, but he has the freedom to go to the block and play out the post. Not all point guards are created equally, Wes. Not many in the ACC have the ability to go to the block without anyone else touching the play. Although I did see Kihei Clark go to the block.
I was getting ready to
on
say
Saturday.
Yeah.
Very impressive, especially with the turnaround jumper.
No question. 10 for Anthony on the 3-point trip. Here's Couture squeezing along the baseline for his 2nd field goal.
And Couture has the reputation of being a shooter, but much more than a shooter. You see his ability to take the ball to the rim. Saw him get out with a nice dunk at Duke earlier in the year. And Couture becoming much more of a factor for the Hokies on the offensive end of the floor.
Brooks is fouled here, Corey. This might be, it is 3 now on Horn. So P.J. Horn's 3rd, and the 3rd on Virginia Tech here in half 2, and that'll put Brooks back to the line.
But we have to remember, P.J. Horn played the majority of the first half with 2 fouls, and that's 1. And when you're this important to your team, you kind of got to live with the shot. Garrison Brooks turning to his left hand, going left-hand jump hook. Not to say he can't make it, but that's not his strong hand. If you're P.J. Horn, you keep your hands out of there and concern yourself more so with keeping Baycott off the glass and coming up with a defensive rebound.
And Brooks gets the back rim bounce. He's got 10 into double figures now with Anthony here in the 2nd half. And with almost 4 minutes gone, the lead 12 for the Tar Heels against Mike Young's team. You see Carolina 15 of 19 at the line. Virginia Tech just 2 of 2 there. You see.
Well, and that's where North Carolina has been different, attacking the basket. Garrison Brooks getting to that free throw line early and often. But remember, Landers Nolley made 10 free throws against North Carolina in that first matchup. And when you consider only 2 for 2 from the line for the Hokies, you can tell that the majority of their actions coming from beyond the perimeter. But it's always a good thing when this young guy gets it going from the perimeter.
2-point shot for Cone. His first regular field goal of the night gives him 8. I'm excited about his future.
Me too. Me too. Love him. And again, when you get an opportunity to talk to Jalen Cone, you love him even more. Great young man. I know Katie had an opportunity to talk with him earlier. We'll let her enlighten us on that conversation. But the 2 of them together have great personalities. And speaking of great personality, this guy right here that won't get up off the floor, he's got one. And he's got the post game, apparently, as he goes to the one thing that you have not seen is a lack of passion in him. And when you're talking about a Hall of Fame coach, not by my records, but officially a Hall of Fame coach. Yeah. And 3 national titles, everything that you can imagine doing. But yet, each and every game matters so much to him. And I said that because, you know, I will call somebody Hall of Fame even if they're not in. But boy, it's actually in.
Yes. Baycott for Robinson. Brandon Robinson scoreless here after keying Carolina in the first half. There's a tough shot. Intercepted by Brooks, and Carolina's got their largest lead of the night on Garrison Brooks' second offensive field goal.
But one thing we know coming into this game, North Carolina is going to win the battle on the interior. But Virginia Tech has to be able to find ways to score from beyond the arc to put that pressure on North Carolina. And more importantly, they've got to find a way to get Garrison Brooks on the move defensively so that he and Baycott aren't as dominant on the block.
There's Nolly. He's going to challenge baseline. Anthony tried to help and threw it away. Couture tried to make the play. Shot clock sounds. And another shot clock violation on Virginia Tech.
And that's one where Landis Nolly did a great job of penetrating, but picking up his dribble, finding himself behind the basket, doesn't get a shot up, which ends up being a shot clock violation.
Shouldn't he have taken it and just gone ahead and gone to the rack with it?
Think about who you're talking to.
Well, I know you'd shoot.
There you go.
I mean, there's never a doubt.
Of course he should have taken the shot.
I never questioned what 12 would do.
We have been here way too long, WD. You already know the answer. Yes. When in doubt, shoot it.
Anthony fights through, reversed up and under. Nice block. Ojiako, and here's Virginia Tech trying to create an opportunity in transition.
Now, you say nice block. I would like to see the replay on that one because it looked like it hit the backboard first when Anthony put it up. And if that was a goaltending, that is a 5-point swing as Couture knocks down his second 3. Now, he's averaging 2 threes a game from the end of the stretch, shooting 50%. So, but they're going to need much more of that from Hunter Couture. He's going to stay on the court.
15 to shoot. Brooks backing down, scores on the soft jump shot. Brooks now 7.5, 14 in the ball game. Lead is 13 for Carolina. Tar Heels enter as the 14th seed, lowest they've ever been in an ACC tournament bracket. They were the 10 seed in 2010, the 7 seed in 2002 and 2003. Cone rises and fires, and he's fouled by Black. Second on Leaky Black, second on the Tar Heels.
Carolina foul number 1, Leaky Black is second team foul.
Jalen Cone in constant motion, puts so much pressure on the defenders trying to recover because he shoots the 3 so well. That time Leaky Black trailing the play fouls Cone, sending him to the free throw line for 3.
Jalen
Cone gets the first of 3 here, Katie.
Yes, it is. And in January, Jalen Cone took his chances and sent Miami's Chris Likes a message on Instagram asking for advice because Likes is a smaller guard who's had a lot of success playing in the ACC. Ever since, Likes has acted as a mentor to the freshman. The last time they even played in Blacksburg, Likes ripped the ball from Cone at half court and got fouled on his way in for a layup. Before he shot his free throws, though, he went over to Cone and said, "You're showing the ball too much. When you see me reach, you need to attack my front foot." I just think that is such a cool relationship between 2 smaller guards trying to succeed in a very competitive league.
It really is. And Jalen Cone, of course, reached out to the best possible mentor he could, and Chris Likes, who has had tremendous success in the ACC. And both those guys with a smaller stature having to play differently, but yet finding ways to be successful.
And there's a foul and a whistle off the ball. Carolina lead cut to 10 on the free throws by Jalen Cone. Ojiako's second, 5 on the Virginia Tech club here in half 2.
Entering for Virginia Tech, the 14, P.J. Horn.
And P.J. Horn's going to come back with the 3 fouls and spell the freshman from Nigeria. Brooks. Here's Robinson. Step in 2 from the raise to cleaned up by Black for his second field goal.
And that's where the issue comes in. You look at this North Carolina team, every position they're going to have a size advantage. Therefore, for Virginia Tech, who did a great job in game 1, keeping them off their offensive glass, haven't done as well in this one, and North Carolina continues to dominate the boards.
Here's Beatty now with the lead 12 for the Tar Heels. Cone out front.
Whenever you get an opportunity to watch Mike Brey offense, that is great TV. One of my favorites when you talk about drawing up plays, allowing his guys to play free, like Garrison Brooks just got free off a beautiful find from Cole Anthony.
16 for Brooks. Very easy fourth field goal as Carolina's pushed it to 14. Just ahead of 11 minutes to go. Here's Aline.
Great
swinging
help
into traffic. Yes, sir.
Yeah, great help by Garrison Brooks getting over defensively. But one thing for certain, after Garrison and Brooks got over there to help, he made sure he let his teammates know where Landers Nolley was, so he did not get open. And speaking of getting open, great screen, great find, no help. And then I'm not sure Jalen Cone would have been able to do much with Garrison Brooks coming to the rim full speed on that possession, even if he had gotten there in time, other than add a free throw to Garrison Brooks' head.
Great pictures from our director, Michael Sullivan, our producer, Alex Farmartino. And great to be with Corey Alexander and Katie George, West Durham at the Coliseum in Carolina, who struggled on second chance in Blacksburg, not struggling in the paint tonight.
Now, didn't I just tell you it is too early to start complimenting Farmartino and Sullivan? We just had this conversation. They have to finish the game first before we can give them compliments like that.
9 minutes gone in the second half. They've done an outstanding job for us.
They've done an outstanding job all year long.
Cone misses on the catch and shoot three. Christian Keeling, by the way, is coming back to the table now for Roy Williams in North Carolina after he just returned to the bench a moment ago.
Great to see him coming back in, and more importantly, because when you consider what North Carolina is trying to do, of course, they've got to get through Virginia Tech. But this is a team that has aspirations of trying to win 5 straight here in Greensboro. And I'm not saying they're going to do it, but I'm saying that if there is a team that can do it, I believe that these Tar Heels would be that group, the 14 seed coming in. But there are many people who are speculating that this is a team that can make a run here in Greensboro this weekend.
By the way, 4 on Cone a moment ago there, Corey. So here's Black at the line. First of 2 hits the iron. 68% free throw shooter is Leaky Black. And Cone will check out. Couture is in, and Mike Young pausing with Cone for a word. And there's the first-year head coach of Virginia Tech visiting with his freshmen.
Great staff, Mike Young.
Oh, yeah.
Put together, too. Christian Webster staying over, I think, was great for Virginia Tech. And then when you consider Freeze and Antoine Jackson both coming in, as we see Christian Keeling checking back into the game to a standing ovation by the Carolina Blue Faithful. And you see Keeling's left ankle getting stepped on by Ojiako. Ooh, I tell you what, that hurt me right there just watching it.
Oh, I'll tell you, the fact he's on the floor is unbelievable given the way he left the floor. Corey.
You know what? And I got to go back because I don't want to give our guys too much props early. As Easy B makes a nice play to the rim.
Yep.
Man, that camera shot?
Excellent.
Our guys in the truck are special.
Yeah.
No more compliments for them, though. That's it.
Here's Pierce.
Triple zeros on the clock.
Robinson cuts the seam. High drive. Missed it. Baycott recovers and scores. All 10 for Armando Baycott.
Offensive rebounding. North Carolina makes a habit of chasing the basketball at the rim off of missed shots. It's not a great shooting team, but when you factor in them getting second chance opportunities, it makes them even better.
Robinson, the rejection of Obisabidi. Anthony pulls up at 16. Baycott cleans up the rebound around Nolley. Missed the stick back, and Couture tugs it away. 9.5 to play at the Coliseum. Couture, a 3. Rattles it in. 8.5, 11 in the game. It's his 4th double-figure effort in the last 11 for Mike Young's team.
Love what Hunter Couture has done in this game and coming off the bench, giving his team a spark. And they're going to need more of his shooting throughout the remaining 9-10 of this game if they want a chance of knocking off the Tar Heels.
12-point game, kick out for Anthony. On the drive, the runner. Back in, volleyball style from Justin Pierce.
It's going to be broken record, but offensive rebound. I mean, again, it's the story for North Carolina, and when you're playing against a smaller Virginia Tech team, as Couture takes the brunt of that foul, Baycott trying to run through the screen.
Well, first of all, though, as Baycott was ticketed with his first, that's 4 on Carolina. Here's the rejection by Robinson.
Brandon Robinson looked like a big man down there, waiting, just waiting on Beatty to bring it in there to get it up out. Brandon Robinson been hanging around with too many of the Carolina bigs, acting like that. That's Bryce Johnson like.
Easy now. Easy on the sales job.
I'm just saying.
Easy on the sales job.
Been watching Bryce do that.
Okay. 14-point lead. Nolly had a flurry at the end of the first half, has not been able to find the rhythm here in half 2 yet. Squeezes inside, though, and gets the field goal on the cue. Fourth field goal, 10 now for Landers Nolly.
But I love that play by Landers Nolly, not relying on the jump shot. Go take the basketball to the rim. That's how we got to the free throw line 11 times, making 10 of them in their first matchup between the two.
Hard charging Justin Pierce now. The grad transfer from William & Mary is on the board with a pair of field goals.
And we've talked about the previous game between the two of these teams a lot. We mentioned 6 offensive rebounds for only 2 second chance points for North Carolina in the first game. Those 2 were by Justin Pierce in double overtime, coming up with the offensive rebound and putback.
10 to shoot, Beatty. Anthony the rebound in front of Couture. Cole Anthony go through the toolkit. So did Brandon Robinson. Whoa. Anthony showed him the top drawer. Robinson went and got the chest.
I'm going to go a step ahead of that one. Anthony went to the toolkit. Brandon Robinson got in his bag.
Man. Horn trying to quiet the crowd of Tar Heel fans cannot.
But Wes, think about the advantage that North Carolina has. And we talk about trying to play 5 games in 5 days. And when you have this level of support,
all right, CA, they're going to rack this one in the truck just for you right here.
for those of you who've heard it before, when you hear about something here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app.
Appreciate you.
I got, hold on. We got stars on the show tomorrow. You got Phil Ford, who else?
Derek Wittenberg.
Oh, and Witt.
Yes, sir.
Be prepared for a bunch of stories that probably never happened with Witt. But so now here's my question.
Including 83 in Albuquerque?
Yeah, it was a shot. It was not a pass.
Yeah.
But here's my question,
Sure.
Okay. Show's called Packer and Durham.
It is, yes.
Alphabetically, shouldn't it be called Durham and
No,
Packer?
I'm comfortable with Packer and Durham.
I'm not.
It's his basement.
I got nothing to do with that.
Here's Brooks. Carolina's run down. Marches on. 10-0 run for the Tar Heels.
But Virginia Tech struggling in their pick-and-roll coverage. And more importantly, because Cole Anthony gets so much attention, no one even recognizing that Garrison Brooks, second-team All-ACC, most improved player in the ACC this year, is the guy rolling to the basket. We've seen identical plays where he's gotten that dunk.
Cohen can't finish on Brooks. Anthony and the Tar Heels with under 6 to go, leading now by 22. Keeling. Here's Robinson, 3-ball away. Brandon Robinson's got 9 of Carolina's 13-0 run.
And Wes, we've seen this from Brandon Robinson a number of times this season. We saw it against Clemson when he went for 27. I believe it was Miami. He went for 29. And when he gets going, it's hard to cool him off.
Foul on the drive will get us to a timeout. Garrison Brooks has handled all the stuff inside, but the business special has been at the rim.
Well, Cole Anthony and Garrison Brooks have been a great. I like him already. Even though I didn't know his name, I like him. He's now my guy. And you know that means a lot.
He's now my guy.
Yeah, he's my guy now.
24-point lead for the Tar Heels, trying to get their 14th win of the year and advance to meet Syracuse tomorrow night. Stripped by Wilkins and recovered by Cone was Cole Anthony. Here's Jalen Cone playing with 4 fouls. Back on the floor for Coach Young as we get to 5 minutes to go here in this second game of the first round.
And Wes, during the break, you talked about the finality of this event.
Yeah.
And when this is your last time getting to come to the ACC tournament and being a participant, the way that you approach. We saw Brandon Childress with that level of approach earlier for Wake Forest, who has played his last ACC game, and Brandon Robinson, who exits to a standing ovation from the Carolina faithful that have traveled here to Greensboro, playing with that same level. 17 points for him, 5 for 6 from beyond the three-point arc. But remember, it was him who got it started. The first 3 of the game and another one in the first half. But I'm sure he's been very vocal with his teammates about how important this is for them to play well tonight.
Horn rings the bell. Second field goal of the ball game. Both triples for P.J. Horn from Tifton, Georgia.
And not to say that P.J. Horn hasn't played the same way. He hasn't had the same level of success. But his role is different for this team. And he's had to take on the task of guarding Alana Baycott and trying to keep the 6'10" guy off the glass, in which he did a great job of early. But North Carolina has flexed his muscle on the boards over this last segment.
Play tech for Anthony. Step back 3 on Cone. Raised the corner of the iron, and here's Wilkins. Couture catch and shoot. Horn the tap follow and slapped out. Here goes Radford back to the rim with the right hand. Timeout is asked for by Bert Smith because Black was shaken up on the play. Play resumes here in Greensboro. Corey Alexander, Katie George, West Durham. A 19-point Tar Heel lead. Brooks with Anthony, Baycott, Andrew Platek, and Brandon Robinson. Cone, Couture, Horn, Radford, and Isaiah Wilkins defending Brooks, who catches and scores.
Garrison Brooks.
20 now for Garrison Brooks.
You know, what's one of the things that we saw with North Carolina with the injury to Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony is a freshman. We know that. Scored 34 points on his first night out. But when they were playing with Cole Anthony in the lineup for the first 9 games, this was Cole Anthony's team. Okay? When Cole Anthony was injured and missed 11 games, it became Garrison Brooks' team. When Cole Anthony came back for the 6-game losing streak, there was a little bit of a battle there, and not necessarily between the 2 guys, but amongst his team to try to figure out who was the guy. I think Cole Anthony's done a great job of really deferring to Garrison Brooks over the last few games, which has allowed North Carolina to be the team that they've become and dangerous in this ACC tournament. But Cole Anthony still has to be, and he's been successful, averaging 20 points per game over that stretch. But yet, being a point guard has really helped them in not being as much of a scorer over these last few games for the Tar Heels.
Baycott at the line after the foul on P.J. Horn. Garrison Brooks, by the way, now 7 straight 20-point ball games. By the way, don't forget tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock from right there in the south end zone. Packer and Durham here at the ACC tournament. Phil Ford on the 45th anniversary of his freshman heroics is the case MVP. And Derek Whittenberg of the Cardiac Pack will join Mark and myself along with other special guests.
Can I ask a favor?
Sure.
Is Cole Anthony and Baycott check out of the game? Brooks remains in. But can you put Phil Ford and Witt in the power hour?
I don't know where they're scheduled, actually.
No. Wait, no.
I
I didn't ask where they were scheduled. I asked you, because your name's on the show, to put them in the power hour, because 7's a little too early for me.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Oh, you like them at 9?
I can catch them at 9.
Yeah.
I can tune in at 9.
Well, you may have to get up a little early tomorrow. 23-point lead.
What is the point of knowing people? I mean, if I can't make a simple request.
I think you'll have to talk to folks in programming who are also available for consultation here as you're leaving the arena tonight. By the way, Garrison Brooks is checking out, and Walker Miller from Greensboro, whose older brother is the former Tar Heel, who also wore 22 like Walker, and is the head coach of UNCG, the Southern Conference.
Yeah, but Wes's 22 was a medium.
Yeah.
Walker's probably wearing the extra large.
Mark Snurr, stoppage of play to check at the table with Brian Dorsey. I think this has to do with the clock. And it does. 9 to shoot for Virginia Tech. Hunter Couture, the freshman from Orlando, to put it in play. As you see Garrison Brooks. Nice night for Brooks, by the way.
So, Wes, as we look at Virginia Tech now, unless something miraculous happens as Couture knocks down the three, they will be 16-16.
Right.
At 500 overall, are they eligible for the NIT?
For the committee, yes.
Okay, that's correct. That's my concern, and making sure that so at 500 they are eligible, but you do have to have a 500 or above record.
Yeah. They fall into an interesting group, by the way, and I'll share that with you in a moment. Here is Jeremiah Francis in his first action tonight. Blocked, but recovered by Miller. 5 to shoot. Here's Playtech. Got to go right back at him. Foul line, hanging foul by Couture. Second on Couture. And that'll be 8 on the Hokies, and free throws coming for Andrew Playtech. And look at Garrison Brooks acknowledging the smart play by his teammate. I think Mike Young's team, Corey, as we see Playtech go to the line where 61% on the year. This year the ACC suffered, and we talked about this back in October. 13 of 15 all ACC players were gone from a season ago, right? 20 conference games. We didn't quite know how the math would work there. Conference games at the front. Here's the thing about Virginia Tech and other programs, and you'll know the ones I'm talking about. You had young people play big minutes in this league who will be back. A lot of veteran experience will be in second-year guys next year in the ACC. Look at Virginia Tech as an example.
I agree, but one thing that you can never discount, especially in this league, is the fact that oftentimes guys make decisions to move on.
They do.
Without, and not always great decisions,
right,
but still decisions made to move on and try to pursue their dreams of playing professional basketball. And I don't know that all of these guys are back, and I don't know that, you know, any of them leave, but when you consider the fact that it's out there, many of these guys will test those waters. That's just the nature of the beast, which is college basketball right now. They'll test those waters and take their chances. When the NBA instituted the two-way player,
right,
not only are there 15 roster spots, but you add 2 to be able to play in the G League. And with the emphasis that the NBA is putting on the G League, it is making it more attractive for players to play. So, again, I'm not saying they're the right decisions, but oftentimes you see that. So I'll bank on that once I see the rosters in October.
I understand. But let me give you the headline under the guise of good basketball decisions. This league could benefit from that.
Absolutely.
Back to where people have an expectation of it being one of the best leagues in the country.
I think that immediately comes back next year because you have so many teams that are a year away. And that's what you've seen. You see that growing up. But more importantly, if you get Elijah Hughes back in Syracuse, they become a top 25 team.
13th 3 of the year for Andrew Playtech.
You know, you look at North Carolina with 4 McDonald's All-Americans coming into the fold. If you get Armando Bacot back and Garrison Brooks, they become a top 25 team. Virginia brings in a strong recruiting class after finding so much this year. They return to a top 25 team.
Yep.
Duke's always a top 25
Well,
team.
the league is going to benefit from the bumps it took this year, the growing pains, if you will.
Florida State brings in one of the best high school players in the country.
Is that Scotty Barnes?
That would be Scotty Barnes. They will be a top 25 team.
Right.
So I've already named all 5 top 25 teams in the ACC.
And NC State brings a legit point guard, right?
Absolutely. Right. My man Cam Hayes, spectacular. So when you look at that, the league goes back to being the best league in the country, undeniably next year. But you always have to remember, some guys are going to make the wrong decision.
You're right. And the lure of that or the ever omnipresent portal.
2 shots.
I don't want to talk about the portal.
I know, but that's just the reality of where we are, too. You know that. Blocking call, by the way, a moment ago on Keelan puts. And here's a young freshman, 240 pounds from Nigeria, John Ojiako, who has a pretty bright future, I think, for Mike Young's club. As you see Christian Keeling exit. Cole Anthony tonight in his ACC tournament debut. Steady. Very steady. As you see Caleb Ellis and Hunter Couture, who grew up a Carolina fan, playing against his childhood team here in the opening game of the tournament. Shea Rush, KJ Smith, Caleb Ellis, Robbie Ohan, and Ryan McAdoo A couple of legacies on the floor for you, Corey, to finish up here.
Yes, you got them right now. Big-time legacies.
Tar Heels have won 4 of their last 5. They'll move on to meet the Orange of Syracuse, who they beat by 13 about 2 weeks ago at the Dome.
Wes, this is a different Tar Heel team. These are not the Tar Heels we watched lose 7 straight games or 6 straight games and have those losing streaks throughout the year. This is a different team when they have everyone back and healthy. We hope Christian Keeling is fine tomorrow, but this is a different group, and they've got a chance to do something that's never been done in ACC tournament history.
Carolina has now won 9 of the last 11 against